Good morning.
And to you, good day.
Wow, that was so great to hear all of that. It attracted all these moments in me that when I was out camping and we had our cat with us, no leash, and there was an alligator in the campground. And I remember that feeling of trepidation, but I was such a different person then, and I didn't have, it's going to be okay, everything's safe, there's only love here. But I used my cat to kind of soothe me because I would watch Melvin, and he once brought a skunk to the picnic table and was playing, and I was so afraid, but everything was okay. And
Yes.
It was the same with a snake. He was yawning, sitting next to a snake, and I was feeling all these fears. He was such a teacher.
Yes, cats are good for that.
Well, he's not around anymore, but
that's all right. He's still around, not in the same way, but still around. You can still tap in. And in that sense, not being around in the same way can actually allow you to tap into a higher level that you can use to your advantage.
That's so great. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's so great.
Yes.
I was so there with you. I was imagining and so deep experiencing it. And
that is part of the process, is even in our description of the exercise, many of you can start to feel the vibration and the energy that we're talking about, even in anticipating doing it. So even describing it to you is the beginning of the exercise if you allow yourself to use it that way.
I was once walking and I asked my inner being, it was at night, it was dark. I do that a lot. And I asked my inner being, what would it be like right now if an ET or an alien just came up and we started to talk? And I didn't get any verbal in my head, but I'm walking and I'm sort of having a smiling feeling. And all of a sudden, I noticed some guy walking, and he's walking kind of in step with me.
Yes.
And I'm feeling a little bit of that trepidation because I don't know.
Exactly.
And it was just I felt so much relief when this went on for a while. And finally, when I could look him in the eye and it wasn't an ET or an alien, but I realized that just a person with the unknown could create that in the dark.
Absolutely. And you used synchronicity in order to allow yourself to feel that and go through that particular sensation.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like sweating now as I relive it.
All right. Very good. So you are well prepared to do this exercise.
Yes, yes.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to discuss?
Yes, there is. I wanted to ask you what's happening inside the cocoon of the monarch butterfly, or any butterfly transforming.
Well, in a sense, it is dissolving its form, rearranging the molecular structure, allowing the DNA within to impress a new pattern within that dissolved form, and allowing it to reform, literally like a rebirth, as if it is starting again, sort of taking itself back to undifferentiated cellular structures and impressing a new pattern on those undifferentiated structures to form a new form of life.
And is this, well, I love keeping track of these things, like how deer grow antlers every year like bone and drop it, or rabbits can change their hair color, or the frog. I use the frog tadpole, and then he absorbs his tail into a frog when I had an ovarian cyst. And I didn't want the surgery, and I imagined that I was like the tadpole sucking in, dissolving my tail, and it completely went away.
Yes.
And how birds can change sex. So all these things, are they in our DNA?
Well, they can be created to be, depending upon your vibrational state. The idea of what the animals will show you are different variations, different ways, different reflections of what it is possible for you to do. Whether it's probable or not is up to your belief system, But what's possible for you is in all these different reflections, there are indications of different ways that you can understand and handle your relationship to the fact that you're creating your physical reality. So that's one of the things the animals are there to reflect to you, is you have all these different ways, all these different methods, all these different reflections and opportunities based on your belief systems of altering the idea of your vibrational frequency and your DNA in order to allow certain effects to happen that might be represented by different animals. You, in that sense, as a human, are the ones that can unlock from any particular pattern and allow yourself, by looking at the reflections from the animals in different ways you could do things, to take upon a different pattern depending upon which animal you identify with most strongly for the particular need that you have at that moment. But yes, changing your frequency, changing your vibration can allow you to unlock your DNA pattern in such a manner as to rearrange it in a way that will allow for such things to happen.
So it's the need kind of that triggers the practical need.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It always has been.
It always has been. Kind of like necessity is the mother of invention or something like that.
Yes, and in this case, necessity is the mother of transformation.
It was good. It's so good. Okay. So I'm still kind of scared, but okay. So it's perfect for this question. A long time ago, you mentioned that to one person in a question that his mother had had a miscarriage, and you let him know that that material from the miscarriage was taken off-world and used in the DNA hybrid program.
Yes, that's not always the case, but in that case, yes.
Yes. So what I wanted to know, and I've kind of been afraid to ask, but this is so perfect now. When I gave my donations of DNA, when my ET Gray friends came, how did they do it? I used to imagine it was just an energetic process.
No, there's actually a physical extraction very often. It depends on what the purpose is of that particular interaction, but there is often an actual physical extraction.
So I wondered if that means I was on the ship or facility. Is it like gynecological?
It can be. Not always, but it can be.
It's not like a swab in the mouth.
No, sometimes there might actually be some device involved, such as a type of extracting needle.
Whoa. Okay.
It just depends.
And there's a lot of on Netflix of joking, that making it lighthearted of ETs doing this. But so.
Well, it's one way for humanity to handle an idea that it doesn't fully remember agreeing to.
Right. That's why when I even draw ETs or aliens, I make them cartoony, and they're winking and they're smiling and they're playful, and that makes me feel better to avoid these feelings. Right. But it's always fun to talk to you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's always fun to talk to all of you as well. But we're a different story, aren't we?
Yes, completely a different story. Completely a different story. And with Willa and the hybrid children, when they were asking the questions, that released so much of those.
All right.
That was so good, so fun.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask about the heart.
Yes.
Something that really helps me these days is I focus there and I breathe kind of a soft, gentle. I kind of think of warm feelings or sweetness or tenderness.
All right.
Boy, it gets me out of my head and opens it up, and then all of a sudden I'll start to cry, and then I release through the tears, like you say, all this stuff.
All right. Well, that's a fine technique if it works for you.
But that's not part of your following your passion.
Why not?
Well, it can come, it's not written out. I reread the formula again because I wanted to ask about the insistence and about releasing.
Well, you do remember, do you not, the tools that are in the kit of excitement? One of them being the reflective mirror that allows you to find out what belief systems you may be holding on to that then you can let go of. So all you're doing is using that technique to do that. So it is part of the formula when you explain all of the tools in the kit of passion.
So the reflective mirror, I love. Like, that's one of the things, it's my favorite things. You never change the world you're on. You only change yourself, and then the reflection changes.
Well, yes, but that's not what we mean when we say the reflective mirror exactly. We're talking about things that are similar to the process that you've decided to use to represent the reflective mirror. The idea of getting in touch with the fact that you may have belief systems you need to let go of. Whether you cry them out of your system or otherwise, you're still using the idea of the reflective mirror to let them go by using it in that particular permission slip form of dealing with your heart. That's just the way you've decided to express it. It's not outside the idea of the formula. It's just your way of using that particular tool within the kit of passion. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah. It makes sense to me, except the maybe say it again, or I'll hear it. It's like, I understand.
In other words, we have delineated for you at every step in the formula, when we talk about acting on your passion to the best you can, no insistence, no assumption, remaining in a positive state, those are the overall generalized steps. But when we examine what is passion, what does it contain, when we analyze each of those steps, it contains its own components. And since we have given you all the components of the passion, the generalized passion step, then you start to realize there are tools in that kit, one of which is the reflective mirror. It's up to you to attract yourself to whatever permission slip works for you in how you use those tools.
So what are the other tools?
Well, all right, we'll remind you.
Please.
When you act on the 4 steps, you open up the tools, and the tools are, it becomes the driving engine of your life, which gives you the energy to be excited about acting on your passion. It becomes the organizing principle of synchronicity, which allows you to experience what you need to act on first, second, third, fourth, in the order that it needs to be done. It becomes the path of least resistance in your life. It becomes the path that connects you to all expressions of your excitement in your life. It becomes the path of relevance for you, leaving nothing relevant out in your life. It becomes the path of support that supports you in whatever form of abundance you need to be supported to allow you to continue to act on your passion in life. And it becomes the reflective mirror that brings to your attention anything within your belief system that's out of alignment, so you can let it go and bring that energy back into alignment with your passion. Those are all the tools that automatically unfold and come to your aid in the kit of excitement, because it's a complete kit and leaves nothing out, when you act on the 4 main steps that we have given you called the formula. Those tools automatically work in your favor to your advantage. Those are all the tools that it contains.
That's so good. Thank you for going through all that.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
It's so true. All those things just are there for me. It's so great.
They are. They automatically come forward in that way when you use those 4 steps in the formula. That's why we just give you the 4 main steps, because everything else is automatic and you don't really have to think about it, but you do have to allow them to function in the way they're designed to function to assist you.
Okay, but why are you saying 4 steps? I'm looking at 3 on
You act on your passion to the best you can. That's 2. Number 3, with no insistence, no assumption of the outcome. And 4, no matter what manifests, you remain in a positive state so you can get the benefit from it.
Okay, exactly. Because otherwise, if I'm not in a positive state, I'm not clear, I'm not receiving, I'm projecting negative stuff, I'm missing the whole thing. I've been through that.
Yes.
Okay, so then I wanted to, if we have time with me, on the insistence on outcome, is that getting rid of all expectations, or?
It's not about the idea specifically that you don't expect anything to happen. Obviously, you expect something to happen. There will be a result from your action. But the point is, when we say no assumption, no insistence, is that if you really are honest with yourself, you will have to admit that you really actually don't know what the best outcome actually needs to look like. You really don't. And by insisting on a particular outcome as if you do know that it has to be that way, that that is the best outcome, that you know that for a fact, that insistence actually allows you to place a limitation on what might actually be a better outcome beyond what you were capable of imagining with your physical mind. So it's a humbling understanding that you don't really need to insist on what the outcome should be, because if you're honest and humble, you really realize that while sometimes your physical mind might get close in guessing what the outcome would be that would be ideal, honestly, you really don't know for sure what the best outcome actually needs to look like. But the higher mind does. When the physical mind insists on a particular way that the outcome should look, you are actually blocking the higher mind from giving you the outcome you might really need. Therefore, when you look at the idea of insistence as a limitation on what could happen that would serve you best, you'll stop doing it.
And I'll just get in the present moment and enjoy.
Yes, because you know that whatever manifests, even if it's something that you objectively don't prefer, you have to know from a positive state that it's got to be there for a reason that can serve you. If nothing else, sometimes you might manifest something you don't prefer to give you a better idea by contrast of what you do prefer. And therefore, by staying in a positive state, you will see how to use what you don't prefer in a way that gives you a clearer idea of what you do prefer. And that's a positive way to use what you don't prefer.
Which is so good. That's so good.
That's how it works. Does this help you?
It helps me so much. Thank you so much.
Then we will thank you for your interaction.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day.